Betty?
Thanks, Harry. I was wondering if you could just give us a little bit more flavor about the longer dated and multi-strategy investments that you're exploring.
So those are both some newer strategies in the marketplace. What is being thought about and considered for longer dated is an observation that there are potentially some, and historically have been, some very high-quality private equity assets that some managers would rather have just held on to them for a long period of time, that they continue to develop and grow and increase in value, and that the current fund structure prevalent in private equity tends to focus on turning over their portfolio relatively rapidly, 3 to 5 years if it's a successful deal. Some managers are looking to have observed this and looking to try to develop some investment vehicles where there would be a selection to choose some assets that should be, quote, safer, more dependable value creation over long periods of time, and that they would hold them for long periods of time to let that value increase for the benefit of the limited partners. Multi-strategy is a little looser in terms of how it's being defined. Some managers are finding that even though they have private equity and debt and infrastructure and real estate programs, that some assets really don't fit cleanly with them. And that they remain attractive investments. With an attractive risk-reward profile. And so the managers have observed this and looking to develop some investment vehicles to offer to limited partners such as CalSTRS the opportunity to participate in attractive investments that otherwise don't cleanly fit into one of the investment mandates that they might have. So that's a little newer in its development. It's not perfectly clear whether the definition of multi-strategy is consistent from one manager to another. That's something that's in development now, and we continue to work with staff, but recognizing it's an area of potential opportunity, and again, with a large and capable staff, a lot of sophistication here, it appears to be an interesting area, at least worth exploration.
That's great, thank you. And then I just wanted to get a sense of this benchmark study that's underway. At what point we're going to incorporate, I guess, the findings from that study? Will that be part of our ALM process, or kind of at what point do we get?
The benchmark study you were mentioning?
Yes.
So what we have been working on with staff, I think there are a couple prongs. One is as it relates to the asset allocation program and the choices of the overall benchmarks for the program. What we note now that the current benchmark on a long-term basis, based on the Russell 3000 benchmark, is all U.S. equities. That's not reflective of the private equity portfolio, which is quite global. Has a substantial exposure in Europe, for instance. So using just a U.S. benchmark for a global portfolio is not the best fit. But also thinking about, and as Josh had described before, thinking about the asset allocation, thinking about equities collectively as the growth asset. So there's both public equities and private equities together, that a way to think about that bucket is having a similar long-term benchmark to them. Obviously with the private equities, with the illiquidity and additional risks that are there, that it should produce a return over long term that's higher than public equities. So thinking about what's the right spread on that. So that's one. And the other is, as we continue to work with staff about incorporating the longer dated, the the multi-strategy, that the shorter-term benchmark also, that to include these and further thinking about assets in general, there's plans, I believe, for the May agenda to include some further discussion about the investment policy that would incorporate as part of that some of the shorter-term benchmark discussions.
Oh, great, good, thank you.
So
Thanks, Harry.
we can expect to see something in May. Is that,
That's my understanding is how that's timing.
Scott, did you want to add something?
I think John did it, or sorry, Steve did a good job of explaining. But just to clarify, we have two benchmarks, a long-term and a short-term. The long-term one is associated with the strategic asset allocation. We'll be evaluating that as part of the strategic asset allocation, and that's when that will be set. And then secondly, the short-term benchmark, we would bring back policy changes, and that's likely to be brought back in May. So that's to clarify.
Thank you. Steve, John, no one else is in the queue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Information request today? Okay. Item 11 is the draft agenda for May. Chris, walk us through that.
Yes, thank you. One, I want to note, item 9, the step 3 in the asset allocation study, that'll get moved up. It's an action item, not an information item. And then I also want to, again, plant a flag for item 4. That's the opportunity for the committee to debate what they want to set for their work projects for next year. We generally encourage you to limit those to no more than 2 because it takes up additional time. Obviously, we'll be, number one automatically would be we'll be finishing up the asset allocation study because that's going to run at least through November and maybe to February of 20. But we will have the second half of winter, spring of 2020 to add another project and debate. So it's an opportunity for you to talk about what you would like to discuss and consider it. You basically, as a committee, are then deciding, even though you're also the full board, you'll take that, Harry will take that as the chair to the full board in July, and the full board will then approve your committee work plan for the next year. So it's a nice governance tool that helps us all stay on the same page. As you've seen, you got a lot of staff, a lot of consultants, and as well as stakeholders that care. So it's a good way to keep everybody on the same page, marching in the same direction. But we want to follow the projects that you care the most about. That's my main highlight.
Thanks. I would just highlight item 5 on the agenda is in response to Controller Yee's letter. She communicated, I think, to the full committee, but it certainly was addressed to myself, and Joy's read it as well, around carbon pricing policy. We've spoken with Kirsty Jenkinson about that and have a high level of confidence that we'll take a first step with some action around that. So that's in response to Controller Yee's letter. I think that does it. Okay. Opportunities for statements from the public is item 12. We have a few members of the public. And I think these comments will probably fall under our earlier conversations of issues that coming before us that we feel strongly about, but perhaps additional forums. Hi. So Juan Chavez, Araceli de la Rosa, and Jordan Fine. Hey, it's your Juan, right? Juan?
Yes.
Yes, you're first, Juan.
Good afternoon, board members and staff. My name is Juan Chavez. I work in shipping and receiving at the Pullman. Honestly, I didn't want to be here today, but I know it's important. You are all important for the future of my coworkers. I don't know what else you need to know to convince you that CBRE is not reliable. CBRE could not have resolved this dispute a long time ago. They could have resolved it the first time we reached out. on May 2017. They could have resolved it when we started picketing in front of our hotel in December 2017. They could have resolved in July 2018 when CBRE decided to sign a card check neutrality against agreement with the union. Instead, CBRE did the bait and switch. They signed the agreement and tried to claim that the union wanted to organize an agreement for 2 HEI hotels. Local 2 never made this demand. The union president, Anand Said, even told you when he came to CalSTRS in person. Through all of it, me and my coworkers are caught in the middle. Now the hotel's off the market, and we haven't heard anything about it for sale for months. Do you know what's stopping CBRE from resolving the dispute and letting us organize without fear of retaliation? Are CBRE's answers good enough for you guys? Thank you, guys.
Araceli? And you have a translator too, right? Okay. Make sure the time reflects the need for translation too, please. Thank you.
Mi nombre es Araceli de la Rosa y soy una recamarera del Irvine Marriott. Tengo 3 hijos maravillosos, la mayor está en el colegio. Todos han estado en escuelas públicas de Costa Mesa. El año pasado me uní al comité organizador de la unión. Decidí pelear por la unión porque la gerencia eran abusivos e irrespetuosos. Ellos nos empujaban a limpiar demasiados cuartos todos los días. Algunas de mis compañeras fueron sexualmente acosadas y asaltadas. La gerencia no hizo nada para ayudarles. Mis compañeras y yo ya hemos tenido suficiente.
My name is Araceli de la Rosa. I'm a housekeeper in the Irvine Marriott. I have 3 wonderful children. The oldest is in college, and both attend a public school in Costa Mesa. Last year, I joined the union organizing committee. I decided to fight for the union because managers were abusive and disrespectful. They push us to clean too many rooms every day. Some of my coworkers were sexually assaulted and harassed, and management did not do enough to help them. My coworkers and I had enough.
Nosotros exigimos una elección democrática por la unión. CBRE y su operador pudieron haber aceptado. Sin embargo, nos pelearon bien duro para callarnos. Ellos trajeron de 5 a 8 personas de la corporación. Ellos vinieron a nosotros en grupos grandes. Nosotros les llamábamos acosadores porque ellos nos buscaban cuando estábamos a solas limpiando nuestros cuartos y rodeaban y trataban de hacernos bully para que votáramos no por la unión.
We demand a democratic union election. CBRE and their operator could have be agreed, but instead they fought hard to keep us quiet. They brought in 5 to 8 people from corporate. Those people went around together in a big group. We called them los acosadores because they will find us alone cleaning our rooms, and they could gang up on us to try to bully us to vote no for the union.
Esto no era más molesto, era más bien injusto porque no podíamos hablar con mis compañeros sobre apoyarnos la unión, para la unión mientras estábamos en horas de trabajo. Si lo hubiera hecho, me hubieran dado un warning o despido. Nos dijeron que la unión no son buenas, la unión nos iban a robar el dinero. Me interrumpían mientras yo estaba limpiando mis cuartos. Esto para mí se me hacía una gran pérdida de nuestro tiempo y un desperdicio de dinero del hotel. Finalmente me cansé de lo que hacían y les dije que se fueran y que no vinieran más.
This was not just annoying, it was really unfair because I could not walk around on the clock and tell people to support the union. If I did, that they could grind me up or fire me. They told us the union were not good. They said the union will steal my money. They will come and interrupt me while I was trying to finish my rooms. This seemed like a big waste of our time and waste of the hotel money. I finally got fed up with them, and I told them, just please go away.
En una ocasión, David Marriott, el vicepresidente de la corporación, vino a nuestro hotel y nos dijo que votáramos no por la unión porque Marriott era una familia y él no quería extraños en su familia. Esto bien fue intimidante. Nosotros nunca habíamos visto a alguien de tan alta posición venir a decirnos qué hacer.
On one occasion, David Marriott, vice president of the corporation, came to our hotel and told my coworkers to vote no for the union because Marriott was a family and he did not want strangers in his family. This was very intimidating. We had never seen anyone from such a high position come to try to tell us what to do.
El día del voto de la unión, la gerencia contrató varios guardias de seguridad. Me sentí en una sola policial. Mi punto es que la elección no fue democrática, pero no nos dejamos que ellos nos intimidaran. Nosotros ganamos por un margen de 2-1.
The day of the union vote, management hired a lot of security guards. I felt like I was in a police zone. My point is, our election was not democratic, but we did not let them to scare us. We won by more than 2-1.
Mis compañeros y yo somos luchadores. Nosotros sabemos contra quién estamos luchando. Nosotros sabemos que CBRE, el dueño del hotel, sabemos que CBRE es el que manda. Mis compañeros y yo estamos preparados para luchar por lo que sea necesario para que CBRE nos escuche. Yo tengo entendido que muy pronto ustedes van a decidir si le van a dar más dinero del retiro a los maestros a CBRE. Yo sé que los maestros han trabajado duro y que han estado luchando muy duro para tener un buen retiro. Y yo estoy muy orgullosa de apoyarlos junto con mis hermanos y hermanas de la Unión. Yo les sugiero respetuosamente que antes de dar más dinero para lo que han trabajado duro los maestros, se aseguren de arreglar los problemas y de hacer un mejor trabajo en operación mejor a los hoteles.
My coworkers and I are determined. We know who we are up against. We know it's CBRE, the owner of the hotel. We know CBRE called the shots. My coworkers and I are prepared to fight as long as it takes to get CBRE to listen to us. I understand that very soon you will decide whether or not to give more of the teacher retirement money to CBRE. I know the teacher worked hard today, have to be fighting hard for their retirement. And I'm proud to support them along with all my new union sisters and brothers. I will suggest respectfully that before you give CBRE any money of our teacher hard-earned money, make sure they fix the problem and that they do a better job of running their hotel with the money you gave to them already.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jordan? Fine.
Good afternoon. My name is Jordan Fine with Unite Here Local 11. I know the board's familiar with the growing labor disputes at CBRE-owned hotels, but I think there are a few key takeaways that I wanted to summarize. One is CBRE is the common actor between the Irvine Marriott and the Pullman San Francisco Bay hotels and has allowed its chosen operators to mismanage labor relations at both properties. CBRE can resolve these disputes. Actions by CBRE's hotel management have created bad headlines and led to picket lines at the hotels that should be of concern to investors like you. There are significant inconsistencies between what CBRE has told CalSTRS and what has actually happened. CBRE had told CalSTRS staff that it would be neutral, but then allowed its hotel management to engage in an aggressive anti-union campaign. On December 12th, 2018, the day before Irvine Marriott workers petitioned the NLRB for a union election, a CalSTRS trustee informed the union that CBRE had assured the CalSTRS staff that it always remained neutral during NLRB elections. A top executive from CBRE repeated that claim to a Local 11 co-president around the same time. In fact, CBRE's management at the Irvine Marriott was never neutral, as you heard from Araceli and other workers. During the 3 weeks leading up to the January 8th vote for union representation, hotel management ran an aggressive anti-union campaign, and the hotel general manager went as far as to write a letter to workers on January 8th urging them to please vote no. Following an independent investigation, a regional office of the National Labor Relations Board found Marriott with multiple unfair labor practice charges filed in the weeks before the election. The NLRB region is continuing to investigate additional charges. The ULP charges allege that managers illegally interrogated, threatened, and retaliated against workers like Araceli. Before the vote, the union asked CBRE to send a letter to its operator, directing them to be neutral. To our knowledge, CBRE did not send such a letter. These are not the first inconsistencies between what CBRE is telling investors and what is actually happening. CalSTRS staff also informed the union that CBRE told them the union was demanding agreements on 2 hotels from its operator of the Pullman San Francisco Bay Hotel. CBRE went so far as to claim that the union's supposed demand for 2 hotels from its operator was the principal reason that the operator was unwilling to settle the dispute at the Pullman. In fact, we never made a demand for agreements on 2 hotels, which you heard from Anand Singh directly, the president of Local 2, who's been negotiating with CBRE. CBRE will likely begin fundraising for CBRE Strategic Partners U.S. Value Fund 9 and may seek additional capital from current limited partners. CalSTRS should decline to invest in subsequent CBRE funds until the firm resolves the labor disputes. We've also provided Chair Keeley and members of the Investment Committee with a letter from Unite Here Local 11 Co-President Kurt Peterson, Unite Here Local 2 President Anand Singh, United Teachers Los Angeles President Alex Caputo-Pearl, and United Educators of San Francisco President Susan Solomon, urging the committee to have CBRE Global Investors come before the board at its May meeting to address questions about its inability to achieve labor peace at the Irvine Marriott and Pullman. CBRE's competitors, Blackstone, Brookfield, CIM, Rockpoint, and others have found a way to invest in hospitality while providing their investors with a guarantee of labor peace. Why can't CBRE figure this out and do the same?
Thank you. That concludes our public comments, and it concludes our open session meeting. Thank you, everyone, for what was a productive day. We will take a break now for 15 minutes and then come back into closed session.